Well, markets are breathing a sigh of relief this morning, even though the PPI number came in the hottest that it's been in 12 months. It was less, actually, than some pundits had expected, and therefore markets are up marginally this morning, feeling a little bit, I guess, more spry. We have a question this morning. I have a major question I want to start out with this morning. What is the holdup with having Grok in the car? The car already understands a lot of voice commands. So aren't we basically talking about providing a customer service bot that would be able to respond to some kinds of conversations and get the whole situation moving a little bit different? For me, it might be as simple as, asking where certain parts of the screen function are located. Do you ever have that problem with your car? Like, where do I find, how do I use those wipers again? I mean, in California, we only use the wipers, several months out of the year. So by next fall, I'm sure I will have forgotten. Which dial do I use if I want to speed the car up? What should I do on FSD if the car is going under the speed that I want to? Or, what about questions about local eateries or something like that? It would seem like those should be conversational, not just me saying something to the car and the car reacting, but rather saying, well, yeah, Randy, here's what you do. It seems like a fairly easy deal, and it would be a huge hit from the standpoint of fun. Just like Siri was in the early days, there could be questions that we would ask that everybody would know. Oh, yeah, ask it this, and get a Grok type humorous response. It would help make FSD better. The driver could merely say, you know, on the in when they're something goes wrong or they're not happy, they can say things like, you're going a little too close to the curb for my comfort, or what's going on here with the navigation? Is there something wrong here with the maps? Doesn't seem to be doing what it's supposed to do. And the Grok could talk back and say, oh yeah, maybe I should get a little further away from that curb, or, oh, let me check that map. I mean, something like this. I don't know exactly what we're talking about, but it seems like this conversation could be going on, and these things would help Tesla. I recently had a situation where somebody hit our car in the parking lot. And, this was a hotel parking lot, and the security guard came over. It took us a half an hour to figure out how to get the video to show that this had taken place and exactly what it was going on. It would have been great if I could have just said to the car, hey, how do I find that video? Just show me the video from when the car recently got hit. I'm sure the car should be able to figure that out. Anyway, what are your ideas? Do you also wonder why this hasn't been added yet? It seems like it'd be a fantastic selling feature, would really help with the rental cars. People be able to do that when they get a rental car and they're not familiar with it, or loaned cars. You loan it to a friend, they could use that. Or new owners and both used and new vehicles, it would help them to get used to the vehicle. Why do you think it's taking so long to get Grok on board, so to speak? This is Randy Kirk, by the way. Today is that Cern basher followed by Bradford Ferguson day. So be sure to hit notify, for which you need to hit subscribe, and then hitting like helps the algo, and that would be lovely of you if you could do that. I have this new show later in the morning. Usually it's going to come out probably around 10 o'clock, 10:30 every day, and that's going to be posts. I'm just go back and grab every single post over the last 24 hours by Elon Musk, and then I'll give a brief analysis of what he said if necessary. Sometimes I'll just read the post. Other times I'll say, oh yeah, what about this? I'm calling it X posts. And I was, a bad dad joke or whatever. I really felt like maybe I should call it X post factoids. Does that make sense? And let me know if you even get it in the comments below. Hey, Scott Walter comes out this morning. He and Cern and they got this whole group now, this robot expert group. I forget what they call it. Scott, I just had him on yesterday and he told me that this was going to happen, but he couldn't tell me what it was. Well, it turns out that he calls it a magnitude 10 earthquake, shakes up the humanoid robot space as Sanctuary AI announces a major partnership with Magna International. Magna International being a major builder of automobiles. All right, so there you go. That is a big deal. This is from Reuters with regard to the PPI this morning. The Commerce Department Census Bureau said on Wednesday that wholesale inventories rose 0.5% as estimated last month. Stocks at wholesalers fell 0.2% in January. I'm sorry, this is inventories, not the PPI. I got a little confused there. I'm sorry. Stocks at wholesalers, so inventories rose 0.5%. Now, this is a good news, bad news thing. So you want inventories to rise at wholesalers if they feel like they need them. You don't want inventories to rise if they don't need them. And so you'll see that there's a difference here between some kinds of inventories and other kinds of inventories. Wholesalers fell 0.2%. Economists polled by Reuters had expected that inventories would be unrevised. Inventories are a key part of gross domestic product. They dropped 1.5 on a year-over-year basis in February, but the month-over-month basis, they were increasing. Private inventory investment cut 0.47% from the GDP. In other words, got to explain this stuff as I go along. Private inventory investment reduced the overall GDP growth in the fourth quarter after providing a big boost in the third quarter. So inventory growth increases GDP. Our inventory reduction reduces GDP. So right now they're expecting growth in the first quarter to be up 2.5%, and these kinds of numbers would impact that. Here's the key. Wholesale motor vehicle inventories rose 0.9%. So almost a full percent. This is not what you want to see, of course, unless there's problem moving that metal. Stocks of farm products and petroleum fell, excluding autos, wholesale inventories increased 0.5 in February. All right. This is from Market Watch. The deficit came in yesterday at $236 billion in March, down 38% from a gap of $378 billion in the same month a year earlier. Still, the overall U.S. deficit across the first 6 months rose $1 trillion in March, almost matching the increase seen in the same period in the prior fiscal year. Federal government's fiscal year runs from October to September. In March, government tax receipts rose. That was one of the reasons why you had some benefit, some reduction here month over month. Receipts rose 6% to $332 billion, but spending actually fell 18% to $569 billion. The annual U.S. budget deficit is forecast to decline slightly to $1.5 trillion from a year earlier, and then rise again in the following year. High deficits and high interest rates, meanwhile, have caused net interest rates by the government to surge in the past year. Net interest payments climbed to $429 billion in the first 6 months from $301 billion from the prior year. It's a 50% increase. Net interest payments now roughly equal what the U.S. spends on defense. These payments could continue to increase if interest rates remain high and annual deficits of $1 trillion plus persist. Yes, both of those things are almost certainly going to happen based on our current knowledge. Now, could interest rates drop later this year? They still could. People are still predicting 2 interest rate cuts of a quarter each. I'm getting less and less. I'm feeling less and less like those are going to happen. All right. Now we're going to get to unemployment benefits this week. The number of Americans who applied for, this is from Market Watch, fell last week. It fell to a 5-week low of 211,000, yet another sign of remarkable strength in the U.S. labor market. New unemployment filings declined by 11,000 from 222,000 the prior week. Jobless claims have hovered between 194 to 225 the entire quarter. It's very flat, very even the entire time. And the number of this is the one I watched. The number of people already collecting unemployment benefits in the U.S. actually dropped by 19,000 to 1.79 million. Economists polled by the Wall Street Journal had forecast new claims. Those estimates have been so far off, it's not even worth reporting. Anyway, CNBC has this about the PPI. A measure of wholesale prices, called the PPI, increased less than expected in March, providing some potential relief from worries that inflation will hold higher for longer. Yeah, that's a stretch. The producer price index increased 0.2 for the month, less than the 0.3 estimate. Okay, that's the headline number from the Dow Jones Consensus, and not as much as the 0.6% increase in February, according to a release from the Labor Department's Bureau of Labor Statistics. However, on a 12-month basis, CPI rose 2.1%, the biggest gain since April of 23, indicating pipeline pressures that could keep inflation elevated. Excluding the food and energy, the core PPI also rose 0.2%, which was as expected by those polled. Excluding trade services from the core level, the increase was 0.2%, but 2.8 total from a year ago. This release comes a day, of course, after the BLS reported that consumer prices rose more than expected in March, raising concerns about future price inflation. On the producer price side, March's gain was pushed by services, which were up 0.3% increase. Within that category, the index for securities brokerage and other investment-related fees jumped 3.1% in 1 month. Conversely, goods prices decreased 0.1%, flipping a 1.2% increase in February. Some of these things, are probably based on you have to really look over months as opposed to looking over 1 month. Final, as people say, 1 month does not a stat make. Final demand costs for energy, which have been on the rise lately, actually fell 1.6 for the month. However, wholesale prices for final demand goods, food and goods, less food and energy, climbed 0.8%. Wow. Okay, well, there you go. Those were the important things coming out this morning. Let's go ahead and take a look at how the markets are being affected by this. Interestingly, Tesla did not hold its early gains. It is now down $1.06 on the morning, trading at 170.70. There does seem to be kind of a 170 or 169. There's a kind of a floor, but given that the Dow Jones is actually down also, but the NASDAQ is up strongly, S&P. So we got the Dow Jones down 44, the NASDAQ up 71. We got the S&P up $3.97. We've got Tesla down 132 now. You got all the rest of the Mag 7 are up, including NVIDIA at $6. But the others it's all very close. But I'm surprised by Tesla being down. Okay, then we've got, all the Cathie Woods are down. Basically, yeah, so there you go. So Tesla acting like a Cathie Wood this morning. That might mean that interest rates, well, let's get the percentages first. We have got the Dow Jones up 0.16. We've got the NASDAQ down, let's start over. Dow Jones down 0.16, NASDAQ up 0.33, S&P up 0.01, Tesla down 0.82%. at 170.36. Okay, now let's go in and take a look at what's happening with bonds, because with all the Cathie Woods down, you'd think, well, no, as of now, I'm just going to double check this. Okay, the 10-year is actually down 1.2 basis points compared to where it was yesterday now, but it's still at 4.548. That is really strong. The US 2-year is up down 3.1 basis points, just under 5, and the 2-month is down 0.6 of a basis points. So I'm not going to bother to do those inversions right now because I don't think there's that much action there. The 10-year is moving up right now. So now it's only up only down 0.8 of a basis point. Okay, let's go look at the oil prices right now. We have got oil at down 64 cents. Both are about the same. Brent is now under 90, barely at 89.92, and the Texas Intermediate 85.56. Natural gas down 3.87%. It had been running up all the last 5 days. Now it's taking a big breather, down 3.82% at $1.81. We got gold up $15 a share a share. Gold up $15.90 at 2,364. I don't remember if that's an all-time high, but it's up close to the all-time high. You got copper at down just a bit this morning, but still sitting at $4.27. You've got the dollar, not moving very much right now, but up near its all-time, up near its, I forget, very major high level right now on the dollar. You've got the crypto up, Bitcoin up 587 points. Our dollars are 608 now. Boy, that changed fast at 70,316. And there you go. That it gives you the full range of what's going on. Let me drop back just a second to see what Tesla's doing. And Tesla down at this point $1.32. So pretty solidly staying there in that off a buck and change. All right. So what else do we have this morning? Yesterday, Scott Walker, who just had that breaking news this morning, also gave some amazing guidance regarding FSD and what to expect coming up later this year. And we also, of course, talked a lot about humanoid robots. Very good show. As always, you want to pick that up and you didn't see it already, here is the card. Easy for you to go get that right away. And of course, later today, Cern Basher. And I guarantee you, we are honing in on Cern Basher stuff and making it better every single week. Then check out my new X Post or X Post Factoid. What do you think? One of those two. And so that's all I got for you today. Oh, did you join Patreon yet? That would be a really good thing to do. One last thing, just go down there to the information below in the description and you'll find the Patreon link. You just poke that and go join Patreon. Thanks so much for watching. This is Randy Kirk, and it's been great talking to you.